Coming up on Operation Outreach, a program right here in Central Florida that ensures military veterans get connected with the services they need. Many of our veterans face health problems, employment issues, and struggles around assessing their benefits, but there is help available from the DAV. Today we'll learn about the many forms of assistance offered to disabled veterans right here in Central Florida. Welcome to Operation Outreach, a new program to highlight the services available to military veterans right here in Central Florida. I'm Fred Robinson, Chair of the Orange County Mayor's Veterans Advisory Council. Here to tell us more about the DAV is Andrew Marshall, former National Commander. Thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Fred.
Andy, I just want to ask you a question. When did you serve in the military?
1969 until I was medically retired in 1972 due to combat injuries.
Okay, and what branch were you in?
Army.
Okay,
Army.
And how old were you when you went in?
I turned 20 over in Vietnam.
Oh, okay. Okay, were you drafted or were you enlisted?
Drafted.
Drafted, okay. Well, I appreciate everything you've done for the DAV as far as being national commander and state commander and being the voice of the DAV, which you are. I'd like to ask you a little bit about the DAV Transportation Network.
Our transportation network we've had that for over 20 years. The DAV buys vans from Ford Motor Company at a good price, and we donate those vans to various hospitals and clinics throughout the country. In Florida, we've purchased since inception like 125 vans just in Florida alone. The DAV has purchased to take veterans to and from. And this past year, over 250,000 miles were driven, and over pretty close to 8,000 veterans were transported back and forth to their VA hospital or clinic appointments. Otherwise, many of them would not be able to get there.
Yeah, that seems like with that particular resource, it takes a big burden off the VA.
It does. Our biggest problem is we buy the vans, purchase the vans. Our biggest problem is finding volunteer drivers.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what does the DAV do for adaptive sports?
We partner with the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs, twice a year. One is the Winter Sports Clinic in Aspen, Colorado area. And this past year we had like 300 participants. And a lot of them were blind, amputees, confined to wheelchairs, loss of use of legs, still have them, arms. It's amazing to watch these veterans go up and down a mountain that they never thought they'd be able to do in their lifetime. And the other one is our golf clinic. We partner with the VA. That is in Iowa.
Okay.
That's held out in Iowa, and there were about 180 participants this past year, and the majority of those, Fred, if you can believe it or not, are visually impaired for the golf clinic. Yes, sir. Some of them are visually impaired, plus have loss of an arm or a leg, etc. But visually impaired, I was shocked at how many visually impaired veterans would come there. And want to learn how to play golf or try to play golf. They never done it before in their lifetimes, and probably never thought they could do it.
Well, you know, it's very important how meaningful that is.
Yes, it is.
Because it gives them purpose in their life again. Let them belong to something and show that they can still, no matter the challenges that they've been through, that they can still adapt and overcome.
Right.
So, you know, that's really great, and I applaud the DAV for what they're doing there. Does the DAV help any veterans with starting businesses or anything of this sort?
Our newest venture is called Patriot Boot Camp. Patriot Boot Camp was its own 501c3, and DAV took it over, and we run it out of our national headquarters in Erlanger, Kentucky, and entrepreneurs donate their time from businesses to come and talk with veterans trying to start their own business or trying to improve their own business. And again, without the volunteers that from business, from major corporations that come there and donate their time to help veterans get back on the trail and maybe improve their business.
Well, you know, that's a great buy-in from people who have been successful in business to take their time, because time is a commodity you can never get back.
That's right.
To empower our particular veterans and show their respect of the service that they've performed for our particular country. Does the DAV have any programs available or resources available for disaster relief for veterans?
Yes, we do, Fred. And this past year, unfortunately in Florida, it's for all over the country, floods, it's natural disasters. And we gave away pretty close to $500,000 in Florida this year to eligible veterans for disaster relief. Mainly it's, they lose power and it may be off for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and they lose their food.
Yeah.
And most of it goes to buy them food, replace food, etc.
Yeah, because the state of Florida, you know, was impacted very, very much by the storms that actually went through here. And what does the DAV do to help veterans with their benefits, claims of compensation or injuries? What does the VA do to represent them?
DAV is in personal opinion, and many others, is the best of all when it comes to processing claims assistance, providing that assistance. Highly trained, a 16-month on-the-job training program, all right, to be able to be a national service officer and assist with claims. That's a long time, 16 months. And we're in the VA, every VA regional office, and most hospitals, most VA hospitals, and most clinics except the CBOCs, because they're limited in space for
CBOCs,
those.
yeah.
Yes.
And I'd like to ask you a question. I've known you for a few years now, and the thing is, you know, we wore a uniform at one time, and now we're still doing things to help our fellow veterans, but we're wearing a different uniform. What is your purpose of belonging to the DAV, and why you went to the DAV to do what you do to help veterans and their families?
Well, I spent 15 months recovering from my wounds in Walter Reed, Army Medical Center, back when it was actually Walter Reed. And DAV would come to the hospital, all right, and talk, trips, right? But being there to talk and maybe take you to dinner, you're not eating hospital food, so you really get real food, and DAV was doing that, and that's my first contact with them. And then I looked for a job and couldn't find one because they wouldn't insure me because of my wounds, and DAV hired me. They hire only service-connected veterans. That's one of the requirements. You have to have a service-connected disability, and they hired me. And I worked for them for 41 years. St. Petersburg, Florida, Hartford, Connecticut, our Board of Veterans Appeals Office, and then I represented at the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims.
Well, I really appreciate you, and it seems like the DAV made a great impression on you.
Oh, yes.
For you to take the banner and be the voice of the DAV. And I'd like to thank you for letting me interview you today, and everything that you continue to do for our veterans, yourself personally, and what the DAV does for our particular veterans in our veterans community.
We also have an employment program.
Okay.
A great employment program, and we have job fairs, virtual and in person, and several in Florida every year, Jacksonville, always, probably 2 a year. And employers come, and we partner with another organization, Recruit Military, if you ever heard of them, and provide jobs. And if you can look on our website, dav.org/jobs, you would not believe the number of jobs offered for veterans and their active military and active military spouses.
Well, again, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For letting me interview you today, and you brought some useful information to us, and I respect you, and I've known you for years, and I appreciate everything that you've done to help veterans, because I've seen you in action.
Thank you, Fred.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the invitation, and thanks to Orange County for doing this.
You're welcome. It's good to know that there are organizations like DAV in Central Florida helping our veterans access a wide range of benefits that help improve their day-to-day quality of life. DAV is making a difference, and when we come back, we'll hear from a veteran who has benefited firsthand from the services offered by the DAV.
America's veterans are on the tour of their lives. At DAV, we're on a mission to help veterans of all generations get the benefits they've earned. Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Welcome back. DAV is making a real difference in the lives of our veterans here in Central Florida, ensuring that they and their families have access to a full range of benefits that can enhance the quality of life. I'm joined by former DAV National Commander and Florida DAV State Commander, Dennis Joyner, one such veteran who has experienced firsthand the positive impact of these services. Dennis, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Fred. Good to see you.
Dennis, when you served in the military, were you drafted or did you enlist?
No, I was drafted.
You were drafted? And how old were you when you were drafted?
I was 20 years old, had just gotten married and had a son.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And with your son, when you were shipped out overseas after boot camp and everything, how long was it when you first went in before you were shipped out to go to Vietnam?
It was about 5 months. My son was just born basically a month before I was drafted, and I got drafted in December of '68, and I shipped out to Vietnam in May of '69.
Okay. And, I'm sure it must have been challenging to be shipped out to Vietnam knowing that you had a newborn son.
Quite difficult, very emotional, but that's just the way it was. I mean,
Yeah.
was called on to serve my country, and that was a very, very important thing to me.
Yeah. And if you're comfortable with it, Dennis, do you mind sharing, what happened to you when you were in Vietnam?
Yeah, I served with the 9th Infantry Division. It was a recon unit. We were in the Mekong Delta. And we were out in the jungle, and I ended up tripping a booby trap 105 round. It instantly blew off both of my legs and my left arm. I never lost consciousness, and I don't remember the explosion, the noise. I don't remember flying up in the air. I do remember falling back down. I hit the ground, and I could look down. I could actually see, what had happened, and saw the legs gone. Not much. My right leg was kind of caught, in a tree that had split, and I just, my sergeant got to me first, and I just started, screaming, let me die, and Ed, reached down, he slapped me across the face, and he said that, Joyner, you have a lot to live for. You have a wife and a son back home, waiting for you, and you're laying here and wanting to die. And, he put his hand back up to slap me again, and it might sound like, why is he slapping you? But it basically was to keep me from going into shock.
Correct.
And, I just think at that point in time, God put into my mind that there was a different purpose for my life, and I wasn't going to lay there on the battlefield in Vietnam and give up on that life. And my medic got there, and between them, there was a helicopter, a medevac helicopter in the area somewhere. Now, of course, I've been told these things.
Sure.
And they brought it in. It was deep in the jungle. They had to hover it half over a canal, and they put me in one of those canvas sacks, basically, as a stretcher, and lifted me in and into the Army Field Hospital. I went, back to Valley Forge Army Hospital. It took 2 weeks to get me back, and I was there for till, well, that was in June 26th is when I got hit. And on December 1st, believe it or not, after a total of 5 surgeries, I was released and from the hospital and discharged from the Army December 20th of '69.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank you. And it's nothing to be, proud of in this particular aspect, me saying it to you, but the fact that, what you've given of yourself and still do what you do for the DAV, the organization. And how has the DAV been influential, and how did they empower you once you retired medically? How did they impact your life and your family's life?
Even say right before I retired, when I was at Valley Forge Army Hospital, the DAV was the first organization that came by my bed. They gave Vietnam disabled vets at that time a free 1-year membership to join the organization, and they were just there for me right off the bat. When I went back home from the Pittsburgh area, there was an article in a newspaper about what had happened, because I had played sports in high school and that, and so I was not well known, but known a little bit. And one day I had a knock on my door, and it was my mailman, and we lived out in the country. I'm like, I must have a package. Opened the door, and here my mailman was a life member of the DAV. And he said, I read about you in the paper, and I'd like to invite you to come to a DAV meeting, and I'll come by and pick you up. And he threw my wheelchair in his car. That was my first actual activity, going to the DAV. And the DAV, whenever I've had issues, in dealing with my VA claim, mine was pretty cut and dry, obviously. But, they were always there if I had questions. Of recent time, my wife and I both have been very active in the enactment of the caregiver bill for severely disabled veterans that the VA provides, different services as well as a stipend for them. And we did a lot of lobbying in Congress, for that.
Oh, yeah.
And but I got active in the DAV, and it's just the service that they provide, to our fellow veterans, and and I think it was just from the beginning, like this is an organization I really am interested in, is because even though this happened to me, and the good Lord gave me the strength to deal with it, and it's been over 55 years now,
Wow.
And I get the opportunity to go out and help disabled veterans, especially here in the Orlando area, providing different VA services, volunteer services at Lake Nona or Lake Baldwin and that, and it's just they've given me an opportunity to give back.
Right. That's important.
It is, and it's. It's in here, Fred.
Absolutely.
It's in our heart.
Absolutely.
And,
we are who we are.
Yeah, and we've known each other a lot of years, and we both believe so strongly in that, and it's just a great organization. I've continued doing things with them for years, serving on committees, etc. And I've had so many people over the years, Fred, that have said to me, I started feeling sorry for my situation. I hurt my knee, or my ankle broke or something, and all of a sudden, somehow I saw you, or I started thinking of you, and it just didn't seem like it was that bad. And I just feel that if just my presence and being active and happy and trying to smile and being there, living life normally, like I always used to say, you walk, I roll, but it's still the same life.
Yeah.
And I can only, thank God for giving me the peace and strength to be out there. And if I'm helping people that I don't even know I'm helping, in addition to the ones that, I do talk to, it's a great, great feeling, for me. And it's what probably has kept me going. And plus, I also had the strength to pick the pieces up and go back to college and work for 30 years. So life is good. It's what we make of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I appreciate the fact of how you picked up the pieces and stayed with the DAV and became the national commander.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I want to thank you, Dennis, for your service to our nation. Sure. And thank you again for being my friend. Mm-hmm. And also letting us do this interview of you in the DAV. I know it wasn't easy sharing your story, but I appreciate you doing that because a lot of people need to know the sacrifices that we go through.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate it. Great
You're
knowing
very
you.
welcome. Dennis' story is a powerful example of how the DAV plays a vital role in connecting veterans with essential services that enhance their quality of life. It is good to know that there are organizations like the DAV that are committed to ensuring that veterans lead high-quality lives by ensuring that they and their families are taking full advantage of the benefits that are available to them. If you'd like to learn more information on anything we discussed today, as well as how to connect with the DAV, go to www.ocfl.net/veterans. That's where you'll be able to find the links and contact information you need. I hope you'll join us again for Operation Outreach as we will continue to highlight the many programs and services available to military veterans in Central Florida. Until then, I'm Fred Robinson. Take care and thanks for watching.